What's going on? It's your man KAHLEE. Welcome to another episode of the Status Escalate podcast, the music business show where every other week I speak with a guest about topics that can help artists and entrepreneurs move to the next level in their business. From artists and musicians to successful business owners and entrepreneurs in general, bringing a different perspective on how to approach business. This week, my guest is hip-hop artist, author, and father, amongst other things, Propaganda from Humble Beast Records. We discuss everything from keeping your family relationship strong while being in the music business, avoiding the trap of being labeled a certain type of artist, and getting paid while giving away all your music for free. Also, this is your last chance to win a free hat from Farmers Market Hawaii. Just go to 310music.net/SEP to enter. We'll announce the winner on our show December 21st, just in time for Christmas. All you got to do is answer the question, what's the secret sauce? The answer is somewhere in the episode with Keone Painkiller's Peyton. The deadline to win is December 8th, so you better jump on it before it's too late. And now, my talk with my brother Propaganda.
I put in work and watch my status escalate.
What's up, y'all? My name is Propaganda. West Coast is in the building. West Covina, Los Angeles, South Central LA. What's the word, y'all?
Yeah. It's good to get you on the phone, man. It's been a minute since we had a chance to kick it.
Yeah,
why don't you say a little bit about yourself, kind of what you've been up to, kind of what you do these days? I know you're a man of many hats like myself, and just give the people who may not know about you, or maybe the people that do know about you, let them know some things that they may not already know.
Man. Man of many hats, like maybe not as many as Mr. KAHLEE, but man. So essentially, most of my work is centered around sort of kind of hip hop and poetry. I've been rapping for quite some time now. I've been doing poetry also for quite some time now. It's like spoken word and stuff, and kind of ventured into sort of literature, the literature side of poetry. Did a book last year. So been kind of touring, doing music with, the hip hop stuff. I was originally part of a group called Tunnel Rats. Kind of a mega crew, sort of a LA mainstay. And that's kind of where I kind of started traveling more, kind of where I gained a little more like national sort of spotlight. I do a lot of work around education and politics and like social and racial justice. My father was a Black Panther, so I took a lot of cues from him, and a lot of my work is kind of around that. Let me see what else. I'm openly Christian, so a lot of stuff that has to do about faith also, and the way faith kind of relates to like race and how you see the world and such. And besides all that, I'm a dad of two girls. I live in Long Beach, LA native. My wife's brilliant and gorgeous, and she finished her PhD in educational policy, and she's now a college professor herself.
Dope.
And yeah, man, it's incredible. And just kind of on that grind.
One thing I want to get into is like the way you described everything that you have. A lot of people may know you musically as being a quote unquote Christian rapper. And I dig the way, and I'll go a little bit back too. When I met Propaganda, it was my first tour. My man Red Cloud hooked me up. That's fam. And y'all two were the headliners. And I didn't know really what to expect because all I knew was you were a Christian rapper. At least that's how I looked at it, right? And it was really dope. And again, going back to how you said it, you're Christian. You're an MC. Yeah. So just like you're also a father, you're also a husband. Yeah. You're also so many things, and those things come out into your work. So there's nothing wrong with, if there's something wrong with you trying to push one thing, it's because of what that one thing is. It ain't just your focus. Mm-hmm. But I say all that to look at it like, I feel like when it comes to music, you're MC first. Is that accurate? Yeah, man. I think that I try not to think of it as far as like in a hierarchy, if you will. Right.
as an MC, like I'm definitely a peer. Like I just come from that sort of true school world of thinking. That like, the most important thing as an MC, sort of your skills is your authenticity. And you just have to be who you are. You know what I'm saying? So like if I'm going to be an actual MC, I have to bring all that I am to that table.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And all that I am is, like my faith, my politics, my family, you know what I'm saying? And all that sort of makes me authentically me, and so all that to say, like, there may be a day that like I stop rapping, you know what I'm saying? But I'm not gonna stop being
don't say that.
myself. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I know, right? I mean, there might be, but to say like a lot of times, when you take like Christian rappers, like oftentimes they'll take the phrase like, I'm sort of like I'm called to hip hop, or like this is my ministry, or whatever the case. So, but when you start thinking of it in that term, then that would mean that like somehow or another you don't have any duty to Jesus or your message if you stop rapping. So you're like, if I'm called to, if this is my ministry, but what if you stop rapping? I just don't believe that. I'm like, my ministry is my family. My ministry is my mute. My ministry is my vocation. I've had the same ministry whether I was rapping or not, is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
So I try to think of it as like it's not so much like linear or hierarchy. It's more like concentric circles. I'm more of a Venn diagram, if you will. You know what I'm saying? And all of those things that I am, I feel like they're all equally important, and they're all what I try to bring to the music I make.
Man, that's an interesting way of thinking about it. I never really even, but that's pretty dope because, I mean, and then also the power of words. I mean, they may actually feel the same way you feel, but possibly limiting themselves by using those types of terms to label themselves or whatnot. So that's dope.
Yeah, man. Because I feel like when you had this, like, this obligation, like you pigeon. I feel like you kind of cripple yourself on both ends. Like, I'm not in any way, shape, or form. Like, I'm not a pastor. You know what I'm saying? And I don't make music for the purpose of pastoring people, right? So, because if that's the case, and if it's a Christian pastor, I'm like, you've now put these like constraints on you, like for you to be like true to your pastoralship, you have to hug the Bible, like you have to be so true to that text, right? And if you're concerned about this person's soul, then I don't want to hear a story about how you feel about your wife or when y'all fought at dinner. Because that's not pastoring. You feel me? Like, but if I'm making music and I'm just an artist that has a Christian worldview, I said I'm free to be like, yo, I'm gonna cut tonight. Maybe I'm fighting my wife, and like if we haven't figured out how to make this work, and like I'm hella frustrated with her, she hella frustrated with me. You know what I'm saying? And I feel like I'm open to talk about that and talk like that because, like, I mean, I'm not your pastor. I'm just a rapper. You know what I'm saying?
I hear what you're saying. Yeah, yeah. You hold that term in very high regards, and
you know what I'm saying? Because if you're gonna be that, then and again, it's the MC in me. If you're gonna be that, be that. You feel me? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, if you're just like, I mean, and the street stuff, it's like, okay, if you about this street life, like if you a gangster, then nigga be a gangster.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like, then be what you are. Like, don't, you can't just fly the flag. You feel me? Like, you need to put some work. So, same thing. Like, if you're a rapper, then fool, be a rapper. You know what I'm saying? Like, fly the flag and fly it well. So that's kind of the way I think about it.
Have you dealt with any kind of issues getting booked in certain situations because people see you as a Christian artist and think that you won't fit that particular bill, or the other way around?
Yeah, both, man. I think that there's a stigma to it. There's this idea that, like, a lot of times it's more of the room or the promoter in the sense that, like, either I'm not going to be able to sell tickets or the people coming ain't going to buy any liquor. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Right? Those are like so a lot of times it's the issue of just, like, getting the people in the room or getting the promoter to believe that I could sell a ticket.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And if you can, like, convince them of that, and it's like, I mean, we sell tickets. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's plenty of people come to shows. And because of, like, sort of the senses I make, even as, like, a Christian artist, it's like, my fans is great. You know what I'm saying? And so again, like I said, because of even just the type of hip hop I do, and even like the brand of Christianity I kind of come from, like, you know, I don't have as many constraints as others do, or as many like sort of expectations on me to do things that would keep me out of like just a regular thing. But yeah, I think on the other hand, it's like sometimes it's like trying to land a feature, if you will. Like if you tell somebody like, I can show you my raw data, like, you know, you reach out to like just, I don't know, pick a name out of a hat. And if that person doesn't necessarily know me, but like I'm a fan, and it's like, hey, you know, I actually bring some equity to this table. You know what I'm saying? They might be like, because they don't want to be associated with whatever, like, you know, baggage that comes with, you know, the name Christian, that they're like, I don't know, I like the dude, but like, I just don't know if it's a good look.
Right.
Do I have to not cuss? Like, you know what I'm saying? So they have like all these, just for not knowing me, you know what I'm saying? But then people that know, like, you know, this past summer, I toured with Murs.
Yeah.
And like, you know, I'm on the last Mercer Ninth record, like Wonder record.
Great song,
like,
by the way.
Like, oh, thanks, man. You know, and so like, and I mean, once you get to know a person, it's different. But yeah, it's that initial like, okay, show me that this isn't going to be weird, you know?
And I mean, the same thing for spoken word, I would think, because that's such a strong piece of your career. And I know a lot of times people think you're going to be like, the sun, the stars, you know what I mean? Like stereotypical what you would think like a slam poetry artist would be sounding like or something like that. And if they're not too hip to your music, and maybe that's all they seen or whatever, as dope as it is, if that's not what they're looking for, it could be the same exact situation. How did the Merce tour come about? And just, I mean, I looked at the new Merce album, you know, I got the radio show Proof of Life, so I'm looking for new music, and I seen you were on it, and I was like, yes, and then I heard it was dope, and then I see the tour coming, and I'm just like, Merce traditionally, you know, has always toured with, he specifically goes for different, I mean, it looks like he going for different crowds, which is a genius idea. I mean, it should be what everybody does, from Sick Jackin', Tech Nine, you know, so many different people. So when I seen that you guys were going out together, I thought that was going to be dope. I wish I could have made one of the shows. But how did that come about?
Yeah, man. It was, when you've been in LA long enough, it's like your paths cross so many times that we had just known each other, him being a part of Living Legends, me being Arizona Raps. These are both like sort of LA mainstays. They're both mega crews. You know what I'm saying? We just had so much in common, and just was like, at the time, it kind of made sense. We were both at the end of like album cycles. Neither one of us had really had anything going for the summer. And a lot of it just really just birthed out of a friendship. Like, man, you just building with each other. It's like, man, let's just get in a van, you know? And the nights, you know, the ticket sales weren't as high as we were hoping for, but the experience being together, it was, and a lot of it was like experimental. Like, we just wanted to see, could our two worlds work?
Right.
Like, does a Merce fan like a propaganda? Does a propaganda fan like a Merce? And what we actually found was like, it was like, okay, so last time Merce was in Chicago, he did about 350 people at a venue. Last time I was in Chicago, I did about 350 at a venue. So the thought is, oh, dope, 700 people come see it. The problem is, like, 200 of that 350 were the same person. You know what I'm saying? So
good and bad.
Good. So that meant that like that person was excited, but we probably could have sold that same ticket twice had we went separate from each other.
Right. Yeah, I hear what you're saying.
So it was like, but you gotta hit the road to find that out. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So once we did, it was like, man, it was a blessing and curse, which kind of meant that like we'll probably never do a Los Angeles show together because it'll be so like just be cannibalistic. You know what I'm saying? Like it's the same person coming to see us. You know? Right. So, and he has no reason to give up his LA days. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And neither do I. You know what I'm saying? So, but at the end of the day, man, like I feel like I know it so much better now. Like I have so much love and respect for that dude, man, and like his whole family. Like stepdad, like others just good folks.
Right, man. I think it's dope that y'all got together, man. Let's touch on the book a little bit, man, because the book I Am Becoming, that can you just kind of say what it is and some of the things that you touch on in the book?
Yeah, so I Am Becoming is a collective of sort of poetry, some that I've already performed, some that I wrote just for that, poetry and photography. My homeboy Squint, who's up in he's up in Oakland, he's a Bay Area dude. He runs this thing called Silicon Valley. Like, feel how fresh that is. It's called Silicon Valley, right? Dope as hell, right?
Very tight.
So, it's a branding, marketing, and tech company. Their clients are like Andre Ward, the boxer, Steph Curry, anybody that's in Oakland that's like the homies. It's like they're all are kind of part of this Silicon Valley thing.
Right.
And then they have this other wing that they do is called street coding, which is basically they take like like ex-cons and like kids that are in like the juvenile system, and they teach them how to do like web coding and web design.
Dope.
So like they would have these like sort of this opportunity for like tech jobs because they're up in Silicon
Right, because that's what's cracking out there.
Yeah, that's what's cracking out there. So he's just a super dope dude, incredible photographer, and basically I just drove him through the hood. Like, hey, this is where my grandma lived. This is where I got robbed the first time.
The first time.
I grew up. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, the first time. And Children of the Poetry, we just kind of put it together. And the idea was like, there's no digital version of it. It's all like, this is like an artifact, like something you could touch, keep, hold, something I want to be able to show my grandchildren. Like, yo, this was a slice of 10 to 15 years of my life was like, yo, it's right here. You know what I'm saying? And then also like from a creative side, I've always done poetry for performance. And I never did poetry for like literature to be read.
Right.
You know, and it felt like I was like a new toy. You know what I'm saying? So I wanted to try to put my hand on that. And so a lot of that book is like, some of it's like slam, kind of like spoken word stuff, and that you can read. And others of it was like, no, this was actually written for literature.
I think it's really dope because I'm reading some of these stories that you're telling, and it sounds like the way I'm reading the story is like, and I don't know if it's because I'm a rapper myself, but I'm like reading it in a way where it's like poetry almost. So it's kind of hard to tell, but I could tell because it's not about rhyming, but the words go together in a way that's familiar to me. You know what I mean? But it's really dope because even I haven't been through it all so far. You know, it's kind of like a handbook in a way. You know what I mean? It's really
dope, man.
Yeah, dude, I think it's really dope because you got. You know, but I also see how it goes together. I forget which one. I think it's like I'm becoming aware, like the end of one of the pieces, or I don't know how you would refer to it as. And I don't know if you, I mean, you had to have meant to do it this way. It like ended a certain way, and then you flip the page to the next one, and then it's like it's continuing from it. It seemed like.
Yeah.
But I wish I could find the example. But it's just really entertaining, and it keeps you paying attention to it, you know what I mean, as you're going through it. It's not just saying the same thing and seeing the same thing. And I didn't know that all these flicks, so all those pictures were taken with you, like you guys were together kind of.
Yeah, there was a few that there's maybe like, I want to say there's maybe 3 of them that I wasn't there for, but the other was like he flew down and was like, I want to see where you're from.
Right.
And I was like, all right, let's go. You know what I mean? I just took him to like I said, just these different like monuments in my life, or like areas I spent the most time in.
Right.
And just like, all right, let's go.
Yeah.
You know?
The something that I feel like is missing though is some of your drawings, because I know you got skills with the markers and the paint and all that. You got any plans to do something with that? I do. That's going to be the next one. Nice. So the next one you do is going to be. I'm sure you have even more, you know what I mean, than this. But let's just say, out of doing a book, out of making music, spoken word, just writing and drawing.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have like a favorite that if God forbid you can only do one, which one would it
Man,
be?
yeah, that would be hard, bro. That'd be hard, man. I mean, that would be hard. It's like they're so married. Like I feel like they're so related. It's just
Yeah.
so hard for me to think of that. But like, I mean, hip hop's my first. I mean, it's like my native tongue. Put it in. But for real, like it's really my first. I mean, it's my first language, man. You know. So I guess at the end of the day, it would be like, yeah, man, it would have to be like rhyming.
Yeah.
But I know that like I like the space for maturity that poetry gives.
Right.
There's just some things that like I know I want to say that like my allegiance to what a song should be just won't allow for space for it. You know what I'm saying? That like I enjoy having poetry for that. And in a weird way, I use a lot of like the skills of drawing, like the observational skills, to make songs. I know it sounds like real like hippie
Tell
type
me more.
stuff, but it's real. It's like, okay, so I think of when I'm putting together a song or a verse, if you will, I think of things like symmetry and composition and balance and form. These are things that like you use, or perspective. These are things that you use in drawings. You know what I mean? And like, if I know that a part of a drawing like needs to be heavy and dense and dark, so I think of my writing like, okay, you need to write real dense right here. Okay, now you need to loosen up. You need to soft strokes. Like, oh, say it lighter. You know what I'm saying? Be nicer in this. And then some are like heavy, smushy. You know what I'm saying? So like,
Wow.
I just it's kind of weird. It's real artsy to explain it, but like it's real. Like that's kind of how I think of it.
That's crazy. I think you were the one talking about we don't have to say his name, but a really dope artist and the way he writes. I wouldn't want to expose his style, but
Mm-hmm.
how he does like triangles and circles and all these different shapes to show the style of what he's gonna say, and it ain't even nothing like the words is like the last thing. He ain't even concerned because that's so easy for him, but the way he flows, he uses
never seen anything like that.
Yeah, it's crazy, man. It's interesting to hear different ways of creating people's art. You feel like there's only a couple different ways, and especially when it's not your particular art. So to see that or hear that is pretty crazy. I was gonna say, as far as your spoken word, do you feel like the way you do spoken word, or just the idea of that? I mean, it's got to play into the way you spit, because like you can rhyme, you could be in the pocket, you could play with the pocket on the outside of the pocket, but also if you say a bunch of words that don't rhyme, and I've spoken to people about this because I try to do this sometimes too, like a lot actually, words go together in a way that are just perfect. It's like they don't have to rhyme, but it's almost like they were meant to follow each other. Do you know what I mean?
I do.
And I feel like that's one of your things that you're amazing at, and it seems like it's very much connected to the poetry side of things. Like, is that something that you notice? Yeah.
Yeah, it is. It totally came from that. And it came from like seeing poetry live. Like I went to the Poetry Lounge one year in maybe like 2003, maybe. No, way before that actually. 2001, to see like Shihan and all those dudes that run that and poetry and Gamel. And, when you see these dudes, and at the time, like I had never put my hand on trying to write a poem, but yeah, you're listening to them and you're like, you don't realize it didn't rhyme till the end, because you're like, wait, those words are so, there's no music. Like, why am I so intrigued?
Right.
And so I actually desired that skill. I was like, I want to be able to hold the attention of a room for 4 minutes straight with just my words,
Yeah.
And so, yeah, like I pulled a lot from, and it influenced the way I rap now, like a whole lot.
There's definitely some about being performing at a show where not everybody's paying attention and stopping the music and kicking the acapella, and about 4 to 8 bars into it, you realize everybody's just stopping what they're doing. Somebody got like taking a bite out of a piece of chicken and they're not even like chewing it. They're just like, you know what I mean? And they're just watching you.
Yes.
You know?
Yes.
Yeah, I go to hip hop shows where fools eat chicken. But the point is, like, that whole idea, I know, I would go, believe me. I'd be eating that in the back. The idea that you could really connect on a different level where people aren't used to, because a lot of times, even when they do acapellas, it's like they're doo-doo acapellas. Like, y'all need to really learn how to convey. You can't just rap without a beat. It's not the same thing. You need to deliver it like you guys are having a conversation. You're exchanging energy, and all they're really doing is they're, absorbing it, but it's still like an exchange of energy, that bubble that gets bigger as you guys start to connect. And before you know it, at the end of the set, the show, whatever, everybody's just, in this big old bubble. It's crazy. But yeah, that's one of the things that I really do. Going on tour with you and getting a lot of pointers just by watching the way you rock, like as a host and things like that, and the connection. Those are things that I've implemented into my own just being on the mic, period. And like cats like Mr. Liff, like all these different MCs. I'm always watching and trying to see what I think is dope. And what I hate, when somebody does something that's amazing and it's just not my thing. I'm like, dang it. Why can't I do this?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like I could do it, but it's just not my thing. But but like it's really dope to see when cats could just get an audience to pay attention, even though they may not have encountered this type of vibe or whatever it is before. I think that's really dope. Yeah, you can rock a mic. Right. You rock a mic really well, sir.
Thank you, man.
No doubt.
You too nice.
Releasing music for free and still getting the return, kind of what's your philosophy about that? And how do you, for somebody who does want to make money off of it and kind of new to the game, and maybe they're only dropping free music and they are getting fans, but they're not getting the monetary return, do you have any words for them and maybe how they could approach it a little bit?
Yeah, well, our philosophy was, we just saw the writing on the wall, like, just early. We just saw it early, just knowing that like streaming's on the way, and at some point you're not going to be able to sell an album, like, because it's too easy to get your hands on free versions.
Right.
So we just kind of knew that. So knowing that you have to come up with other ways to monetize. So our albums, although we're giving them away, you have the opportunity to buy them. They're still on iTunes. They're still on all of the, regular like outlets. But our free model now is more like a sort of just the panache, if you will, or just like part of our DNA. Because like, who's opening a laptop and downloading an album? Like, nobody's doing that now, right? So essentially, everyone's free. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, all of our music's free. So but we just swallowed that pill before everybody. So you just have to come up with other ways to generate income that the music drives.
Yeah.
So for us, the music drives the merchandise. We used to have we were doing like craft coffee for a while.
Ooh.
So our coffee, the live show, the book, the actual if you do buy a physical copy, the physical copy is like more like an artifact. So we actually spend way more than we normally would for like a CD or like a piece of vinyl. Like we actually we break bread for it because I have to give you a reason to buy it. So it's like it's an artifact, like you know what I'm saying? So that was our philosophy, was like, most people will go if you're trying to sell merch, you'll go get like a Gildan or like a Tall Tee something, sell the shirt for $20 and just kind of put your name on it. Like we were like, no, like our shirts are like apparel. So like we got like really expensive, like soft cotton. For a while it was American Apparel, but then like, they're just weird. So we just kind of like, but either way, but that quality, like, so our merchandise is very high quality. So like, while the person next to me may be selling their shirt for $20, $25, my t-shirt's $30.
Right.
My sweater is $50. So, and why is that? Well, you got the record for
But
free.
you see and feel the difference as well, the quality of your work.
Feel the difference.
Yeah.
You feel me? So when you start presenting that sort of quality and that excellence, that it's going to cost me more up front, right? But it's going to generate more. Then what you're doing is you've now created buy-in. So we've had most of our, like, my core fan base, they have two versions of the record. They have the free one and then the one they purchased. They have their streaming, and then they're like, I already have it saved on my Spotify, but I want to buy a CD, because they believe in what we're doing. You know what I'm saying? So my encouragement to young artists is like, you need to create a fan that believes in you, right? Like, not in the song you just put out, but the song that you just put out is their access to you.
Right. That's how you make that connection.
That's how you make the connection. They need to believe in you. So for me, like, it's a business model, but at the same time, it's really like, this is a way of life for me. It's like, I need you, like you're a fan of propaganda. You may have liked this album or this moment, but I need you to be a fan of me, and who am I? Well, I'm a husband, I'm a father, I'm a believer. You know what I'm saying? So like, my social media is like, it's not just flyers. It's like, sometimes I'm just at the crib. Sometimes it's just my daughter. Sometimes it's a dirty living room. Sometimes it's, you know what I'm saying? Because it's like, no, walk with me. Like be in this whole world. Don't just buy a record. Be in this world. You know what I mean? So invite people in your world, man, and hopefully your world is interesting. If your world ain't interesting, then like, why would anyone stay?
Well, even if it ain't interesting, a lot of these other people got just as uninteresting lives as we do sometimes. And I think just how you make that connection, like, don't feel like you don't have something to offer, because one man's trash is another man's treasure is something that rings true everywhere.
That is true, because sometimes, like, it's actually that is true, because sometimes, like, the world I'm in is changing diapers.
Man, dude, people, there's homies out there, their thing is women, you know what I mean? They single, they getting at chicks every single day, but they wish they had a wife. You know what I mean? They out there doing their thing, but they wish they get some shit on their hand accidentally while they changing their kid's diaper. You know what I mean? Right. Shout out to Open Mike Eagle. I don't know if you know that line. you know what line I'm talking about? Man, that's my favorite line ever. But yeah, dude, I feel all that, man. That's great. That's great words and tips for a lot of people who, they've been doing it, because even myself, giving everything away and just trying to really get a return on it, whether it's, and I've been getting a lot of return, like sales just actually came out of nowhere. And the only thing that's changed that I can see is that I've been talking to people online a lot more, you know what I mean? And just, hitting people up with on Twitter or whatever, and just DMing back and forth with people and talking to people more at shows and things like that. And that's, I can't think of anything else other than that it could have been, because all my music, I do sell it. And like you said, I sell my CDs. They're all on all the digital outlets. And then, my physical copies, I always put pride in my physical copies. Some of them, I put them together myself with like buttons and bags and toppers, so you feel the collector's edition vibe to it. I'm a collector. So try to create that. And if you just want to get it for free, I'm like, yo, you ain't got 10, scan that barcode on the back, that QR code, and download it for free right now. Hit me up, let me know what you think. And then hopefully later on, you'll be rocking my gear or whatever, just the support is real. However you could get them to support, give them that quality and never compromise the quality of your work. That's the number one for sure. Let me see. The last thing I guess I wanted to touch on is a little bit on kind of like you're connecting with Lecrae and how that turned into what it is
Yeah,
now.
yeah. So when I met Lecrae, like it was around the time that so I had just finished. We had just done this thing called the Foot Soldiers, right? And that was myself. I don't know if you're familiar with like Triune,
Yep.
and the homie 50 Cal, right? We did this joint project with him and KRS-One. We were messing with Interscope at the time, and you know, KRS took me, Rafi, and Triune, and he took us on the road with De La Soul. It was an incredible thing, you know what I'm saying? And just somehow or another, just the nature of the industry, like if you know, if you've been in music long enough, you know, like deals come and they just somehow don't work out. Right. So that kind of just what happened at the time. It just kind of didn't work out. So I had no connection or like information about what was happening within like Christian rap, because I was doing battle stuff. We just did the battle for LA. Like I was just doing music, you know. But I was a believer the whole time.
And you just did an album with KRS-One.
And I just did an album with KRS-One. So it was like
kind of cool. So at that time, especially.
At that time, it was like, oh, you on your way.
Yeah.
But I wasn't. Right? So anyway, so somehow or another, somebody had came to a gig, saw me and my homeboy Odd Thomas, and just kind of figured out that we were like Christians. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
It was at the Key Club or something. And then we got invited to come to this thing out in Chicago to do sort of just like conference of like these like sort of super hood kind of inner city dudes that were like planning churches out on like the South Side, and they just kind of wanted us to come through, talk to them, do some music, whatever, right? But from what we knew about the people putting it together, and Lecrae was actually at the time like sort of thought like a lot of those dudes at that time, where it was like the idea of like Christian and secular just doesn't mix. Like if you are a Christian, you only do music for the church, by the church. Your films need to sound theological. Just like this real sort of closed-minded way of thinking about music. The
stereotypical Christian rap way.
The very stereotypical Christian rap way. So, and I had, like I said, I didn't know none of these dudes. I didn't know none of this.
You were just making hip hop.
How they thought.
Right.
I was out here making hip hop.
You was thinking probably the way I was thinking before I met you.
Yes. I'm just out here making hip hop. So we went because we got booked, and I mean, hella defensive, guard always up. Like, I don't like y'all. I don't know y'all. I don't even think you rap well anyway. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't want to be here. And at the time, I was like, Lecrae is like, I'm like, you the king of them. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't want to, like, we'll never be friends. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know. So that's what I'm thinking at the time. God, we go to this Chipotle. It's me, him, all the other dudes that are on his label. It was Trip Lee, Tadashi, guy Shy Lin, just a bunch of dudes all at Chipotle. And Lecrae finally breaks the ice. It turns out, which I didn't know then, it turns out Lecrae hood as hell. I just didn't know he was hood. You know what I'm saying? Right. And so he asked me, who's your favorite rapper? And at the time, I was like, Joel Ortiz. And he goes, that's crazy. My favorite is Busta 5'9". And I was like, you've never heard of Busta 5'9". You don't even know who that is. He was like, that dude pulls out his phone, and he was like, look, shows me like the last 3 mixtapes. This was like 2009. So he shows me the last 3 mixtapes he did. And I'm like, wait. Okay. This isn't computing. I don't understand why you know this, you know? And then, then he breaks the ice. He was like, yo, look, I didn't grow up in the church, man. I don't know none of these politics. I don't know any of this. He goes, I listen to your music. I think you're dope. I hear like God's influence in your music. I don't understand why nobody else does. So tell me what this is. Like, what am I supposed to think? And I'm like, wow, that was super interesting. So we sat at that Chipotle for hours. We talked about everything. We talked about, like, if if Common asked you to be on an album, would you do it? And I was like, I can't believe you just answered that question. If Common asked me to, are you serious?
Why wouldn't I?
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and I remember like it was me and Odd Thomas, who actually runs our label now, Humble Beast. So we just had this conversation where I was like, you're tripping. Like, you say you want to affect the world, but you never go see the world.
Right. You only stick to people that don't necessarily need to hear. They already know. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, you in an echo chamber. So like, I don't want to hear that. You're not affecting nobody, right? So we just challenged it. We just kind of became friends. It turns out he lived in San Diego for a while. So just straight like Skyline Pyru hood. Like, it was just like dudes from the hood. You know what I mean?
Right.
It just turned out like we just ended up like really, really hitting it off, and now it's like he's legit like one of my closest friends. And so music came out of that. I think that like for him, because he was like, on the rock. And now, I mean, the dude's like, his record went gold. Like, he's won Grammys. So I think like the fact that like I'm not on his label, I don't really need anything from him, really makes our friendship like crack even more. 'Cause I'm like, I just need you to just be real. Just be like a real nigga. You know what I'm saying? That's what I need from you. Like, I don't need no money from you. I don't need you to put me on nothing. I don't need you to tweet my album. I don't need none of that. You just a homie. You know what I mean?
Do that stuff, but like, we're not homies.
Things.
We're not homies so you can do that. We're just homies.
Exactly.
Let me ask you this, kind of going, keeping with that, and you tell me what you think about it. And this is something that I try not to do, but at the same time, sometimes, at least for me, I can't help but to have to get caught up in politics when I meet somebody, and I mean it in probably a different way. There's been times, you know me pretty well. I'm a pretty open book, so even if you don't know all these things about me, you could probably tell my character, right? So, like, I think I'm a pretty good dude, and I try to, be nice and respectful to cats and give people, a lot of shit, you know what I mean? But I've met certain people that are on a higher status than myself and, pretty known cats in the game, and sometimes I get the vibe that I need to pull the kindness back a little too much because I feel like they think I'm trying to use it to get something from them. And I feel like, obviously, I want anything you're down to give me, but I'm not here for that, dog. Like, I'm trying to contribute whatever you need. And a lot of times what I see is like the things that I could do for somebody, even on a large scale, I could do a lot, but it's nothing they can't do with the phone call or a snap of a finger. You know what I mean? So sometimes I feel like I need to I can't be me. But I can't be too cool or too nice to these cats. I gotta kind of feel like, I don't know, because they feel like, and it could just be in my head because I'm over analytical. But sometimes it's like, should I just be like, never mind? We could still be cool, but I feel like if you're not getting my kindness for what it is, then maybe we should just not, work or not be around each other or whatever.
Yeah, man. I mean, for me. And this would be my answer. I think that there's like, obviously there's two sides to it. There's just the wisdom side of being like, yeah, man, like, if, you don't want to, to borrow from Christian language, like you don't want to cast your pearls among swine in the sense that like, if this person just don't want it from you, then there's that, you know what I'm saying? But for Prop, it's like my allegiance. Now this is where like my Christian faith is the trump card. Like my Christian faith like kind of trumps anything else I would be thinking. Like there's no exit for me. Like I need to show kindness.
Right.
Like there is no out for me. Like there's no exception.
Even if, which is silly, but even if it's to your detriment, this is the type of person you feel like you need to be, right?
This is who I'm called to be. I need to be genuine. And this is where like my authenticity, my love for Jesus that informs the way that I function through life, sort of takes over. You know what I'm saying? I'm not going to be naive. Right. I'm not going to set myself up for failure. You know what I'm saying? but at the same time, like my genuine like concern for my fellow man, my fellow sister, like needs to shine through, and just trust that in time, that's what's gonna stand the test of time.
Right.
So, because I mean, yeah, there's been situations too where like, you know, I've been with like A-listers, you know what I'm saying? And, you know, little things you learn when you backstage at the Grammy is like, yeah, you don't take pictures. So you don't take out your phone when I'm not Snapchatting. Like it's supposed to be a safe space.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? I'm not going to be like, yo, let me, you know, put your contact in, because that's going to read like I'm trying to, you know what I'm saying? So I know those things, you know what I'm saying? But if that person opens up and is like, yo, man, let's talk later, then I'm like, okay, that's a different story.
Right.
And when I'll reach out to that person, it's on some like, hey, man, yeah, I'm just thinking about you today. I prayed for your family today. You know what I'm saying? Just like things that show that sort of authenticity and concern for a person. But like, I don't ever feel like, you know, a person should deny their true self. Like I would affirm that of you. Like you're genuinely a giving dude. Like you're a nice dude that wants to give. You know what I'm saying? And like, you know, even in you, like this podcast is like an example. Like you're putting together a podcast. You know what I'm saying? You're launching a podcast. It's mutually beneficial.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But like, I'm taking time to do this because of our friendship. Like you're a nice dude. You know what I'm saying?
Thank you.
Like, so I'm like, I'm doing this because KAHLEE asked me. You know what I'm saying? Right? So like, but that's because your authenticity throughout the years has proven to be true, you know?
Right. Well, thank you for making me tear up real fast before we get into these questions. Nah, I feel you though. Like, you know, there's definitely some times where, you know, you may have to play the game, whatever that game is. And I try my best to not have to do that. And if it is that, it's something more like what you're talking about, where you may really want to take a picture of somebody, but you just know it's not the right time or the way you may look or something. And, you know, you just got to hope that you're going to be in a position later on with that same person where it is the time to do that or whatever. But it you know, for me to not be as, you know, the genuine person that I am, you know, I guess it's probably not to be wasted on certain type of people anyways, if I really feel like that. Plus, you know, I might be wrong. And I'm talking I because, you know, this is like my feelings, but at the same time, if anybody's listening and they kind of feel that same way, you know, man, I would advise you, I guess, to do the same, because you don't want to be holding back your kindness or whatever positivity that you would normally give. For whatever reason, you're holding it back, and eventually that thing just starts to dissipate, and before you know it, you're a little less, you know, positive that you were before. All for what? But anyways, we're gonna get to a break and we'll come back with these questions. Status Escalate Podcast. What's going on? It's your man KAHLEE, and I want to tell you about my sponsor, DeadstockCloset.com. Deadstock Closet specializes in vintage gear and accessories of all styles and brands. Shop at DeadstockCloset.com and receive your purchase hand-cleaned, ironed, and ready to wear. Use the coupon code SEPODCAST at checkout and get 10% off your purchase, plus an additional discount on your next one. DeadstockCloset.com. Vintage flyness straight to your doorstep. And for any artists looking to gain exposure and actually growing your fan base as well as your numbers, check out StatusEscalate.com. Status Escalate is a PR company who's been spreading the word on new up-and-coming hip-hop artists for years. Go to the contact section at StatusEscalate.com and discuss packages and rates. Let them know you heard about them through this podcast and get 50% off your first project, only at StatusEscalate.com. And now back to the show.
I put in work and watch my status escalate.
All right, we're back. Status Escalate Podcast with my man Propaganda. So great to have you on the phone. When you were a kid, where did you see yourself as an adult?
I think there's the like unrealistic, like in the NBA. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Just incredibly unrealistic. You know, I always knew I wanted to do something in the arts, whether it was visual arts or performing arts. There was a time where I wanted to be a comedian. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I seen in the book it said you wanted to draw cartoons and be a comedian.
Yeah. Like I actually did want to do that. Then I realized like I can't write a joke. And like I don't know. You know, it's funny. Like sometimes, like I'll scroll back through like my Twitter or like Instagram and just think at like captions that when I wrote them, I thought they were hilarious. And I'm reading them now, and I'm like, that's not funny at all. Like, this is not funny. So I'm like, so you know, when you had that realization that you just not as funny as you think you are, you know,
Or maybe
like,
you're funny on certain, because you funny dude, man. But I can't say.
think I am too.
So I think but if you know, to write jokes and go up there and do so, like,
Yeah,
you know, I joke around, and when I do my sets, I might something happen funny in my day, and like, I will never write a bit though. I'll just kind of know I want to talk about this, and I might start talking about it, and I could kind of feel the flow. But another thing is, like, I don't mean to get too off topic. Not every joke has to be like a grab your stomach hunched over laughing. You know what I mean? It's about just getting, you know, everything getting onto, you know, the next one, and eventually leading up to like one of those knee slappers that got your stomach hurting, you know?
Yes.
But I guess that's what us not so funny cats be saying.
Exactly. We're just giving ourselves excuses.
But, so going back, you did see yourself in the arts.
Like, I did see myself in the arts, man. But I think that, like, you know, unfortunately, like, you know, you black in America, but specifically in LA, man, it's really hard to picture adulthood, you know?
Right.
Unfortunately, you know what I'm saying? But like, I definitely knew I wanted to be in the arts in something, you know. That's my baby, yeah.
Is anything in there?
Coming up in, like, because you grew up in a Mexican hood, right?
I did.
Like, when I met you, I knew, and I could have been wrong, I guess, but I kind of felt it's the same like Uptown. My man Uptown Sweet, you met him up north that one time.
Yeah.
I could tell that he grew up or is around a lot of Mexicans. I could just tell, and I don't know if that's because I'm Mexican or what, but I get that vibe from you too, even before I kind of knew that you were from there. But growing up and going through whatever you might have been, being like the only or one of the few black families in like a Mexican neighborhood, and then now your daughter is Latino too, right? Your wife is Latina?
Yeah. My wife's Mexican, and the oldest daughter is full blood Mexican, and my baby is half black.
Right. So, like, how do you ever kind of like compare? Like, well, I know she's still new, but you know, it's kind of a trip, right?
It's definitely a trip. I think that there's really a lot of benefits for looking back now. I realize, like, really the benefits of like true, to use like an academic term, biculturalism. The idea, like your boy, like you said, your boy Uptown, like, yo, like you're like I'm genuinely two cultures.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I understand like the world and shape the world through these two ideas. Like, but the Mexican that I feel like the culture that I'm comfortable with or I grew up with is more like Chicano. It's like Mexican American, which is a little different than my wife. Like, my wife's a first generation Mexican, so like their family's much more like legit, like Mexico. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, I hear what you're saying.
Like, yeah. But for me, I now see that as like almost like a providence, if you will, that like, I mean, I didn't know, you know, being this kid in Belinda and one day that like one day I was going to have to like raise a Mexican girl. You know what I'm saying? Like, I didn't know that was happening. So that like a familiarity with sort of the culture and just kind of things that go along with that, was now I see it as like as a gift. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And then also for music, like relatability, you know what I'm saying, to the people that are in your audience. Like, I feel like if you know, more than just your own sort of like life experience and world experience, you can bring a lot of those things to the table. You know what I'm saying? And that's been like, I feel like it's like served me well.
Yeah.
You know? I mean, we still got like, faux pas where like different things that are like, I would have never known to look for. For example, Black families, like, we generally are very sarcastic with our children, in the way that we talk to them,
Right.
whether you're disciplining them or just having fun. Like, we make fun of our kids. Like,
Everybody. We make fun of ourselves.
yeah, you know what I'm saying? This is what we do.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Well, I'm saying
So,
we, but you know what I mean.
yeah, nah, you black. But I have found, like, that was very, like, jarring and jolting for my wife. Like, they may, like, if you have, like, a real skinny little child, you may call them, like, gordo or, like, gorda.
Right.
Like, but you're being ironic. Like,
Right. It's not necessarily the same.
Yeah, well, I'm not really calling you fat. You know what I'm saying? It's like, it's a cariño. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So, like, the way that I relate to my oldest daughter, I relate to her like she's a black girl, because that's the way that she's a black kid, because that's the way that my parents related to me.
Right.
You know what I mean? So, like, there's been these moments where it was very, like I said, it was very jarring for my wife. But my youngest, my baby, that's gonna be all she knows.
Right.
So it'll be very different with her.
Her and her sister gonna have a crazy relationship, I bet.
Yeah, they already do.
I'll definitely say the few people that I know, friends or even just coworkers, that you could tell they only came up around one culture. Especially a couple white dudes at my job. I could tell they probably the only colored people they know is like me and the other homies at the job. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because of the way that they look at life and the way they see things. And I was super blessed to be around so many different cultures. Usually I'm the whitest dude in whatever car I'm rolling in, at least in high school and coming out of high school.
Yeah.
If I'm with my black homies, I'm the lightest dude in there. If we get pulled over, I'm good. If I'm with my white homies, though, I'm gonna be the one that's getting, pressed, pulled out the car first, etc. But going through all those, even just those specific situations, taught me a lot, and being able to, being mixed myself, Mexican, Hawaiian, and like a bunch of other stuff. But culturally, those are the two cultures that I learned the most. And then having, my brother and sisters, having so many, black homies, Mexican homies, Asian homies, like everything coming over to my home all the time, staying the night, multiple days, and just seeing all these different things taught me so much that I can't even say what my art would feel or sound like if I didn't come up that way. So I definitely advise anybody who, and it doesn't even have to be about other cultures, but just in general, if you feel like you only know this much, or you find yourself being surprised every time your coworker tells a story about something that's regular to them, and you're like, what? I can't even conceive that. It's time to take a trip somewhere. And I'm not saying like, a couple hours away. Hop on a plane and fly to another continent, because you need to see the world. And just because it's not music and you're or writing literally about something different, those vibes and that energy from, the different places in the world and different cultures and whatnot is going to come out, whether it's through your hand or your rhyming or whatever. So definitely do that. Oh, this is the question section. My bad. We talking.
No, that was a great piece of advice.
Word. Do you have any daily routines?
I do. So obviously the day drastically changed when the baby was born.
Right.
But generally, I give myself, if I'm not like performing or if I'm not on the road, I give myself a 9 to 5. So, and I get up, make coffee because you make coffee. Generally it's
right.
Generally it's like I'll do like a my Chemex or like an AeroPress, just kind of nerd out on coffee, spend some time like in prayer, reading my Bible, you know what I'm saying? And then by this time, like, my oldest daughter's up, so she's getting ready for school. While that's happening, I'm trying to keep my the baby like as calm as possible. My wife and my daughter are out the door by 8. Then I try to do breakfast with the baby.
How old is your baby?
The baby's 1.5.
Right.
So we'll do breakfast with her first, play with her for a while. And then while she's playing, I'll start like cranking through emails, responding and stuff. And then usually she's down for her nap by like 10:30, and around that time, it's so crazy. Like this is like hashtag hip hop dad. Because like once she's down, like at 10:30, that's when I tell everybody if I'm going to do an interview, a podcast, a phone call, whatever the case may be. It's like between 10:30 and 12 because that's her nap time. Like there was once, like you calling into, especially like New York, like you calling into like Vice, like the noisy station, like you calling into noisy, and I'm like, yo, it's got to be like 10:30 West Coast time. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Because that's when my baby goes to her nap. So like that's when I do everything I got to talk through. So when you like phone me and stuff like that, usually there. She gets up, play with her for a while. She goes back down around 3:30. When she goes back down, then it's like, okay, writing raps now. You know what I'm saying? Responding to stuff, being creative. My older daughter's home by 4:30, then it's like homework. Then usually if I can get everybody settled in by like 8:30, then it's like, if there's something cracking in the city, that's when I get to go. There's a really dope, like family-owned cigar lounge around the corner from me. So like once I get everybody settled, homework's done, I go watch like the game, smoke a nice little cigar over there, and chill till like 10 till it's time to come home.
That's word, man. That's cool that you got it all down like that. And 2 naps? I just want to give you a quick little applause. Just a little applause for you.
You take 2, blood. You know what I'm saying? You take 2.
Man, my son's no longer taking naps, man.
Yeah, it's gonna change too. I know it's gonna change for me.
Yeah, he about to be 5, but then my daughter, she coming up on 4 months right now. So, So tell me, you got these routines, and it seems like, and I know it's not as easy as that. At least not all the time. Sometimes it probably is, and you're like, whoa, but you can't get too excited about it because then that's when the next day gets tough. Give me some life hacks that help you get through this a little easier.
Man, the biggest life hack I would say is like knowing that like you can't bear this whole burden yourself. So like it's as corny as it is, but it's like trust the squad, dude. Like, and one of that's just there's 3. The first one is just trust the squad and just be like, hey, like I need you to email this. I need you to make this phone call. I need you to set this thing up. You know what I'm saying? And if you empower like the people around you that are around helping you, you empower them, tell them you believe in them, and just let them do what they do well. It's like, gosh, your day just goes so much better. Like if I had to book my own flight, nothing would ever get done. There was once I had a show in Knoxville. I booked a flight to Nashville, and I'm like, because it was a Ville, and they're 3 hours away from each other, but like that's just stupid. Like stupid. You know what I'm saying? Like you should catch that. So like.
Did you fly? Did you get on that plane?
I had to get on it and rent a car and drive.
Oh my goodness!
Dumb. You're just dumb. Like, what are you gonna do, right? So like, I know what I'm not good at. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And I think that would be like life hack number 2. Like, you just got to know what you're not good at. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
If you know what you're not, like, it's one thing to know what your strengths are. It's another thing to know your weaknesses.
Yeah.
Like I'm okay with them. I know what I'm not good at. Like, and I'm gonna get people around me that are. So that's that. And then, I'm a tech nerd, so I figure out apps that do things for me. But here's one that's like, this actually learned it from KRS-One. And his thing is like, if somebody really wants your time, they'll come to you. Right. So
when we were working on his album, this was like 2005, 2006, we were working on his album. I want to say it was Double XL wanted to do an interview on it. He was like, yeah, I'll be in Whittier at this studio between 10 p.m. and 1 a.m. You can come whenever you want. And they came. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And he was like, yo, we're going to work on this song, and then for a half hour, I'm just going to take a break. Y'all go get food or something. I'm just going to do this interview.
Right.
And he was like, we were like, man, you got these fools to come to you. He was like, if they want the interview, they'll come. You know, so I used to always feel like it was, I don't want to be an inconvenience to people. Like, I don't want to be like that dude where you just kind of smelling yourself and just not being flexible, right?
But that's not the same thing.
But it's not the same thing.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So for him, I learned that. So it was like there was a time where like these people wanted me to shoot this like sort of video commercial for these people, and I was like, I have my daughter. Like I'm not going to drive to Santa Monica for you to shoot this thing. But I tell you what, this is where I live. I live in Long Beach. You can bring a film crew, right? So they brought a film crew. They set up in my living room.
Right. Nice.
I shot them what they needed to shoot, right? Because you wanted me to shoot this, and what I'm trying to tell you is I can't drive to Santa Monica. So if you want this done, you're more than welcome to come here, right? So just started thinking that way, or being like I said, like if we're going to do this meeting, like I was saying earlier when you asked me about my day, if you're going to do this meeting, it has to be between 10:30 and 12, right?
Do you feel
because you want the meeting?
Do you feel like that's a more like a know your worth type of thing as well? Because a lot of times you might be scared to ask for too much because you're afraid you're going to lose the opportunity. I mean, sometimes you might lose the opportunity, right?
There's been plenty of those, but like there's one that's a know your worth thing, and then there's two. It's like this is professionalism. What those people did to you is they said, hey, we want to do this. This is when we're available, right? So that's what they're doing for you. It's like, yo, we're available between this time and this time. Can you make this work? It's not a good time. Can we do this and this? And then they're like, you know what? Yeah, we can actually make that work. Sometimes it's like, can you come to Hollywood? And I'm like, no. Can you come to Long Beach? They're like, no. Can we meet downtown? Great. I'll take a trip downtown.
Figure something out.
Yeah, we'll figure something out. Me and my daughter, I'll show her Union Station. You know what I'm saying? Like, we'll make it a day. You know what I mean? The point is, like, I used to make my wife and my daughter would suffer because I was trying to be so accommodating to everyone,
right? That
it would be like, hey, man, we have this thing in Van Nuys that we really want you to be a part of it. Can you come out? And I would be like, sure, yeah, I'll get there. You know what I'm saying? And so then what that means is like, okay, so now my wife needs to get home early, right? She can't do whatever she was going to do. My daughter somebody needs to be there for her homework. You know what I'm saying? So like, me accommodating them has now caused my entire family to suffer.
Right.
You feel me? So like, just kind of turning it and saying, okay, who do I want to suffer in this situation? Like, who am I willing to sacrifice? You know what I'm saying? And like, I just had to make a rule for myself that I'm not gonna allow for sort of my family to suffer. You feel me? It's more than they need to.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like there's some stuff that's just unavoidable, like touring. It's like I can't not tour.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
That's work.
Right. So you can't not.
I think sometimes, especially when things are going good and then you have a new child or whatever, I think sometimes you gotta step back a little bit because you may been too close to your work for so long that you fail to remember that there's something else going on here. Like the equation is different. Like you're so used to the same old equation and you gotta, pay attention to how it's changed and, now you gotta approach things a little differently too. Yeah, I feel that. So having a family and, being a touring artist and, things like that. And, your daughter still being young and especially when she was first born, how are you able to maneuver around that and still be there for your wife and your fam? You know what I mean? How do you make that work?
Man, it's like I think for our house, it's a lot of like evaluating and reevaluating and readjusting and never like allowing yourself to sort of get too comfortable in your system. Like the system has to be malleable because life changes, and times change. So for us, what we do is, one is my wife has what we call veto rights. So she has access to all of my sort of Google Calendar. She can email management directly. She can email label directly. And she gets to say, like, basically she gets to block off dates on my calendar to be like, yo, like, I need you home during this time. Keep this clear. This, you know what I'm saying? And everything's like on the up and up. Like, so everybody involved, booking, management, label, everybody knows when Alma puts something on the calendar, y'all can't touch it. Right. You know what I'm saying? So I try to communicate. So I that's one is practical, and two, like I try to communicate to her that she's first.
Right.
And then secondly, we we have these like meetings, and I hate to call them meetings, but essentially that's what they are, where per quarter, you know what I'm saying, to be like, okay, what's coming up, what's going on with our oldest daughter, what's going on with work for you, like what's going on, what's a reasonable amount of time to be expected to be home to help, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
Whereas we won't like not be able to make rent, you know what I mean?
Yeah, reasonable in a sense that reasonable against your work and touring and things like that. Got you.
So now we have this season right now it's kind of been like this for a while, where I take a week off every month. So for 7 days straight every month I have to be home. And then the other 3 weeks are available for travel, but then I don't travel longer than 5 days continuously away. So like that's the length of days I can be away from home before I have to come home. So it's just this is our rhythm. So like she opens up my iCal, she can see for the next 6 months the week that's blocked off to be like, yeah, he's not. So she goes, okay, I know for a fact for this week he's going to be home. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And then if I do have like a run of shows, she could say by day 4, she knows Dad's coming home the next day. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
Because I have to, And there's been times where like I took it, like one of the L's I took, which was like a serious L. Like I got invited to like the White House to the National Prayer Breakfast.
What?
It was like I didn't go because I was like, and it sucks, but it was like, I mean, it's like I would have met Obama, but
no, man, that would have been should I not dig deeper? Should I not dig deeper? 6 days, that's a different. Is it like, hey, so I know, because it is a slippery slope. Like before you know it, every time is 6 days in a row all of a sudden, but this is a different situation. Like,
generally speaking, we have a thing that we call the awesome clause, which is like if something is just epic. Like most time I have to do with like things overseas. So like if I'm going to like Australia or like Europe, then that's different. It's like, well, you can't help that. You don't go to Europe for 4 days.
Yeah, I mean, it takes 4 days to get there. It seemed like
it took 4 days to get there. So there is exceptions.
Right.
And with this one, what happened was I had just got back from Africa. So I got back from Africa. I had been gone for almost 2 weeks. You know what I'm saying? And then I was home for 2 days. Then I left for 4 shows. And it was last minute. The guy was like, yo, can you come? And I was like, I feel like I haven't been home for like a month. You know what I'm saying? So I had to take the L,
Well, I mean, you'll be able to go back and, I mean, you won't meet Obama. Maybe you'll get to meet Trump if you're lucky.
I mean, if I'm lucky, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. That was a shot.
See, I know. Every once in a while she'll tease me about it, like, well, you should have went. You dumb. Like every once in a while she'll say that, like, I would have went. But
so is this one of those things where you just didn't even ask?
I didn't even ask you. Because we were already like...
You trying to have one in the holster, though.
Fans. Yes. But...
That's a hell of
but
a...
at the same time, it's like, you know, when you... I feel like any married man knows when it's like, you've already pushed your wife a little too far.
Yeah.
So you like, probably shouldn't bring this one up. You know what I'm saying? Like,
no, you know what, man? Like, I think this is important that we talking about this, dude, because some people don't have no version of any of the things you're talking about. You know what I mean? And the communication and the respect out of the whole thing, it's a hard thing to have sometimes, especially when you're not consistent about it. So even though that situation is like, man, it's crazy, I think it's important to set these guidelines as like as real as possible. I don't know the word to use, but if you have these clear guidelines, then you will not miss as many opportunities like that or any other opportunity, because it's like there's been times where I probably could have had this situation pop off great, but similar, you know, for whatever reason, I was like, you know, I'm not even really going to bring it up. But like you need to be assured and having whatever guidelines you and your significant other decide, because y'all are a team, you know what I mean? And that's how it's supposed to be.
Yeah, and I love my wife. Like, you know, I was actually this last month, like I was going to Israel. I had a ticket paid for that. You know what I'm saying? My wife was like, but like right before I was leaving, she was like having these sort of like these like physical problems, you know, and then just the idea that like, man, Israel ain't Texas.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
even Texas is far.
And Texas is even far, but at least with Texas, I could hop on a plane.
Yeah.
And be home. Like, you can't be in Israel. You know what I'm saying? So I had to call the people bringing me out and was like, hey guys, like, I can't go. You know what I mean? And it is what it is. You know what I'm saying? Because like, I mean, I chose her, and I don't want to pay my wife out to be like this, like, you know, demanding.
I'm not
like,
getting that.
Because, okay, good. Because it's like this is the decision I made, like, to show for me to like display to my spouse that like, yo, you know what I'm saying, you're first. You know what I'm saying?
But it ain't even just about that either. It's because she is, that you're doing the things that you feel need to be done, you know.
There's
to
no
take
way
care.
in the world.
To be together and things like that. Because it ain't just about, you know, I'm trying to show you this. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like sometimes some little piece, you do want to show them. But the idea is it's got to be genuine. And so I feel you. That's why it's like, yo, y'all got to make sure that you hook these guidelines up, especially when you've already been living this particular lifestyle. And then you get like with me, I was with my wife as I got into hip hop. So things change, and sometimes there's drastic jumps. Like I may be like kind of not doing much on the road, and all of a sudden I go on a tour, or even just a few shows in a row. It's like, whoa, it's been so long since you've been gone for like a week. You know what I mean? So if you're not consistently talking about it, it gets rough.
Yeah, and there's no way in the world like I could do what I do if I didn't have like her.
Yeah.
You know, and just the way that even just like, and like I said earlier, like my wife's like, she's got a PhD, like she's busy, like she's fine. You know what I'm saying? Like
she's got her own thing cracking.
Yeah, you know, she got her own thing cracking. Like she's a college professor. Like she's fine. You know what I'm saying? It's not like she, you know, she's sitting at home like
waiting for you to get home.
No, like she's getting hers. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. So, I know exactly what you're saying.
Yeah,
I feel you, man. Ooh, gets tough, but man, the best thing you could do is make sure that you stay in communication. I mean, just like if you at work and everybody knows what's going on, that's the best way to miss the least, maximize, you know, the good stuff and minimize the missed opportunities.
Keep everything out on the open.
Give me an example of a failure turned success, or vice versa.
Wow, I like that. Let me see, failure turned success as far as like music.
Anything, bro.
Man, I guess the first one I could think of was like the last album when I hit the road, the tour. It was probably my first like legitimate headlining where Yeah, like my first like legitimately headlining tour. I released an album. I'm headlining
The Crimson Chord.
the Crimson Chord one. Yeah, we it was going great. We were selling rooms. They were going great. We weren't selling them out, but we were, damn near close. We skipped Chicago because we just couldn't get the room we wanted.
Talking about a venue, right?
A venue, yes.
Right.
Just couldn't get the venue. Couldn't get a venue we wanted. It's like it's not worth it if you can't get a good venue. So we skipped it. My booking agent and the agency I was at the time, was a very large, prestigious agency. They came back. They was like, "Yo, we found you a room." We're like, "Dope," but they were like, "It's outside of Chicago." So I stupidly pictured outside Chicago the same way someone would picture outside Los Angeles.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm like, so like Dover Lake, like Whittier, right? Like that's outside of LA. You know what I'm saying? Those are great cities to perform in.
Right.
Pomona. Are you kidding me? Like that's a group. Yeah, that's not. It's not a thing. If you're
there's still markets. Yeah.
There's still markets, right? Fam. It was a cornfield.
Y'all performed in a barn?
Dog, it might as well have been. It was like, now here's what's crazy. The venue looked like it has been beat to crap. Like it was like a metal, hardcore venue. The music, but the sound was, so here's what's funny. I'm getting sidetracked, but this part was so funny. The guy was like a husband and wife that like runs the venue, and it sounded like, they've been like smoking like 3 packs of cigarettes a day for like 40 years. So it was like, "Hey, you like these sound stacks?" Right? That's her. Like that's how she.
Oh, that's her.
Sound stack. Yeah. And she's like, we got these from AC/DC. That was their tour rig. Their last like national tour. That was their tour rig. So the venue music, the sound stacks at that place was AC/DC.
Oh, that's
so
cool.
The sound was incredible, right? Man, it was
nothing else was.
Hours out. Yes, it was 2 hours outside of Chicago, right? Almost on the border of Indiana in this cornfield. KAHLEE. 11 people came.
Yay.
Man, the night before was Columbus. And it was 400 people. The night after that was Detroit, 500 people. The night after that was Toronto. That was 600 people. Like these were like amazing shows. 12 or 11 people, fam. I've never felt more defeated.
Good thing you didn't skip Chicago.
Oh my gosh. I was like, you failed. Get on a plane and go home. Like, what are you doing? What are you doing with your life? You know what I'm saying? Like, I never felt so defeated that day. Cause it's just like, when your name's on a flyer and you're why they're coming.
Yeah, you feel at least that you bear the burden of bringing everybody.
You feel that, like, yeah. So if nobody, and I got openers to pay, the DJs, like, I got to pay all these people, and I promised them, they supposed to make a couple hundred a night.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And I'm like, I have to pay them. So you sitting there, and like, you're just like, man, I could be with my family right now. Like, What am I doing? So that, like, I think how that turned into a success is a number of things. One, I learned that, like, now the worst has happened and life's not over.
Right.
Like, you still have Detroit tomorrow. Like, that's kind of like the attitude. Like, What are you going to do? Like, no, you still have to get up and go to Detroit tomorrow.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that, like, that failure taught me that it's not the end, number one. And then number two, I think it showed me that, like, man, just because something has, like, prestige and a big name, like this booking agent, or this booking agency, that's not a shoo-in. Sometimes, like, the name is not the way to go. You know what I'm saying? Because all the other rooms, we booked ourselves. That was all in-house. Like, we just called the venue and it was like, hey, this is who my guy is. Here's his ticket history. This is how he's sold before. Here's his music. Here's his socials. Can we do a show on Wednesday? And most of the time, the room was like, great, yeah. You want to do a door split? We're like, sure. And that was it. You know what I'm saying? So just the reality of like, man, you know, even like going to get like big name features. Like I can't say that having a big name feature on my record is really like the machine that has moved my career.
Right.
Like the machine that has moved my career has been just hard work and making good albums.
Yeah. Quality
like
and consistency.
It's just quality and consistency. That's what's done it. You know what I'm saying? So like, I think that like that night, like solidified a lot of what I needed to hear,
right.
You know, and what I needed to feel. And like, even just from a sort of a spiritual, sort of emotional, like psyche perspective to where you're like, you can't let these tickets define you as a person,
mm-hmm.
You know, whether someone likes your album or doesn't like your album, or you can't tell, so it doesn't change who you are as a person. Me as a Christian, I'm like, yo, I'm made in the image of God. I'm loved by him. I believe that like God himself sacrificed his son for me. Like, then that's like, yo, that's like, you got worth. You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah.
whether I can sell a ticket or not, like I got worth. You know what I'm saying? And I have the same worth that every other human in the world has. Like you have value,
right?
Despite what they say or they say what this ticket says,
or even
like,
what you say to yourself,
or even what I say to myself. You know what I'm saying? So like that moment, like really solidified a lot of that. Like, yo, you know what I'm saying? Like you can't let this, whatever this is, give you your value as a human.
That's deep, sir.
It's mad deep.
Fortunately, that wasn't the last show on your tour.
Fortunately, the next day was incredible. The next 2 shows.
You spent those next 2 shows talking about that show, though.
I did. Say I didn't. Dog, I've talked about it almost 3 years ago. I talk about it almost. You know, the question comes up about failure often, and I'm like, yeah, I got one for you.
For a minute, I thought that was a failure turned success because we couldn't get it, but then we got a date right outside of it. And so I'm like, okay, that's dope. It's success. Oh, okay, maybe it didn't work out so great. That's where it happens, though, man. It's not the end of the world. How do you, so much going on, how do you ensure execution of a plan rather than just a plan that may or may not be great?
Man, you know what? Deadlines, bro. Deadlines and accountability.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I am, and as much as like I try to be chill and accommodating as possible, I'm the dude that'll call you back on the day of, like, or like a week before to be like, hey man, hey, you were supposed to email me, you know what I'm saying, this PDF about like what's good. Are you missing anything? You need anything from me? Like, did I not give you something you need? Like, so the follow through is the thing where you set up like systems of accountability, is one. And then two, like I said, is trusting your team.
Right.
Like, when you trust and empower them, you know what I'm saying? And I'm not even talking about like a lot of times like dudes are like, yo, man, I'm really out here on my own. I'm like, you don't have to be,
right.
There's somebody in your network of friends that's incredibly organized. You know what I'm saying? And if you just went to go hang with him, like you chilling in his house, you open that dude's like, kitchen cabinet, and you like, dang man, I noticed that all the cups are all aligned the same way. All of your plates are like.
You open up the silverware drawer, and like the spoons are all stacked nicely, and the forks are stacked.
So it's like that person has a skill set. You should give that person.
Yeah, you got to utilize.
Give that person create that person an email address and be like, hey man, what would it? Hey, if I paid you like $100, you know what I'm saying? Like, would you be willing to, sort of like help me with my calendar? You know what I'm saying? Like, you can just empower the people around you and then trust them, So I trust him. When I'm about to land in a city, when I get off the plane, turn my phone back on, or take it off airplane mode, there's an email with a PDF in it that says travel brief. And when I open that email, it tells me who finna pick me up, the confirmation from my rental car, where the hotel is, where the venue is, who the promoter is, who's gonna have my check, right? You know what I'm saying? So like all of that information, because my dude's empowered to do that. That's
right.
his skill set. So he just knows I know how to do this, and I don't ask him. I leave him alone because he knows what he's doing. We had that talk already. Hey man, this is what I need. You feel me? So he just does it. And this guy's not like the dude just went to our church. He was just a guy that went to our church and liked music. He's not like a
rapper
manager. No, or he's not a rapper either. Like
you may
rap.
when they're a rapper, all these things always, very important. But when they are a rapper, some of these jobs may not be good for them, even if they're good at it, because they may want to be a rapper more. You know what I'm saying? So keep that.
Keep that in mind.
This
guy is no rap skills.
Let me touch on it, especially when they're promoters. Especially when they're promoters, but they're rappers first. Specifically, when it comes down to delegating or just not being as strong in a certain category or needing help, like me being a do-it-yourself type of person for so long and having control over all my things, and it's hard to give up control. I recently got a manager, and like giving him control of things and overseeing and making sure it's not too far outside of how I would do things, or at least the results and things like that. But ultimately, you need to, or being the type of person that's not used to paying for a lot of things because you're able to do things yourself or favors or for whatever reason. Sometimes you just really got to balance or weigh the pros and cons of just paying somebody, because it may be well worth the money if you could pay them and take this load off your shoulders and be able to focus on, the other things that other people cannot do, because there are things that only you can do, period. You know what I mean? And then you may think that only you could book your own shows, or you may think that only you could do your graphics, etc., but that's not necessarily true. It may take a minute to get it how you want it, but you can find people to do that for you. And a lot of times they may not cost as much as you think, but you cannot get somebody to do music for you. If you do, you're going to end up on a J. Cole song. But very good song, by the way.
Yes, it is.
Do you have any rules for before deciding to collaborate or partner up with somebody?
Yeah, I think a lot of my collaborations kind of come from like relationship, like where I'm like, and oftentimes, and I know a lot of people don't think this way, but like I think that the relationship drives sort of the execution. You may have somebody that's like, may have a particular skill set that doesn't really know the job description very well, but if that person just loves you and believes in you, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Then they're going to do what they got to do to become amazing at it.
Yeah.
So, and when that love is and when you're communicating to them, like, no, I believe in you. I believe in you too. Like, we're in this together. They're even more motivated to become like even better at that task. I think I in a lot of ways, I actually think of like music collaborations the same way. Like if I'm going to do a song with somebody, a lot of times what drives that is the relationship. I can't think of any of my like friends that are in music that I don't respect as artists. So they're all great artists. Like none of my friends are whack rappers.
Right. You already know the product's going to be dope.
I already know it's going to be good, you know what I mean? But that's not why I'm doing this song with you.
Right.
Like, I'm doing a song with you because, like, that's my dog. You know what I mean?
Right.
So to me, and if it doesn't happen, a lot of times it's more logistical. Where it's like, just the time didn't work out.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? But I think when you're setting up teams and stuff like that, like and releasing that, like you definitely got to do a lot of like your own emotional work to be willing release those things. But I think that to me, it's like when you meet somebody that'll sell a kidney for you, it's like you don't let that person go. You figure out like you figure out how to keep them around.
Yeah.
And you need to like let you gotta lose your grip on things.
Yeah, if you could find somebody who's passionate and loves you and the product that they're helping you with or whatever, but may not be as good as this professional cat, that may still be the way to go, because like you said, man, they give a damn. For everybody else, it's just another buck.
Yeah, that professional dude, he's making money, and he's got like 5 other people that probably make him more money.
Yeah.
That was the lesson from the booking agent for me. Like, I was on this big old huge booking. I'm not gonna name no names. I was on a huge prestigious booking agency, and like on that agency, I was getting gigs, and this was like the most I was making per night. But I was like the lowest on their totem pole.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So like, if you get me, you're gonna get, I'm just throwing out numbers, but like, for example, like if you got me a gig for like $5,000, you're gonna get your 20% from that, which is great, but 20% of $5,000 versus 20% of $40,000, you know what I'm saying? For the same amount of work, they're going to work harder for the dude that's going to bring in $40,000.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, I'm on the same at the time. Like, my booking agent like represented like Lupe and Andre 3000. Like, I had the same booking agent. So if you got an offer sheet coming in and the same amount of work for propaganda, which is going to be like 3,000 to 5,000. But Lupe is about to be like, 20 to 30,000,
right.
And I got to do the same amount of work. Like, which email you gonna answer?
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
On the flip, if they want that money, they may get you for something that's not so great, just so that they could get that 20%, even if it's only a few $100.
Yeah,
because they may not care about losing you compared to losing somebody like Lupe or whoever.
Yeah, exactly. So I get to a gig and I'm like, this is the dumbest, like, why am I here? Like, this is a dumb event. They don't care. They got their 20K. But you have somebody that's at a smaller agency, you know what I'm saying? That's like, nah, like, we trying to win. Like, I'm trying to see you win. Like, that person's going to fight for me. He's going to fight for me. And like, if somebody come in lowballing, he's going to call back and be like, no.
Right.
My man's worth more than this. Or be like, hey, you know what? They're going to pay you this much, but like, I really don't think you're going to enjoy that. Like, I think you're going to enjoy this more. Like, so you get somebody that's like, yeah, that person will, like I said, that person will sell their kidney for me.
Yeah.
Like, I'm a ride for them. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Real quick, going back to the insurance execution and accountability. Don't think I didn't notice that you called me right at 8:00, and I was like, I was just about to hit him up, but I was about to go get some coffee real quick, and then I was like, he gonna hit me up right at 8. I was supposed to hit this fool up at 8, and he hit me right at 8. I'm pretty sure, like, I seen the number change from 7:59 to 8 right as he called me.
That's funny.
Word. Can you recommend a good book or even a movie or like an essay or something that's really helped you become the successful person that you are currently?
Man, there was a book called Art and Fear. Let me see if I can find it, because that one was big.
Art and Fear?
Art and Fear. David Bios, yeah. Observation from the Pails and Rewards of Art Making. So that one, that was big for me. I think I would actually like start and stop there. And it just talks about a lot of things, like the relationship between creating art and commerce and business, and what relationship business has, how business relates to culture, how art is culture shaping, like, and how they all just kind of play together. You know what I'm saying? So like, that one was big, Art and Fear. And that is basically the premise is the best art is fearless.
Yeah. No,
You know what I'm
no
saying?
insecurity, no, not even really anything focused on anything but the art, right?
Yeah, yeah, in that you understand that like you you as an artist, you play a role in history. Like you're making culture, and if
Right.
that's the case, you can't be scared of culture. You know, because you're making it. You know what I mean? And I think that oftentimes you do that because your livelihood is at stake here in a lot of situations. So that when you add that, like, then you become much more sort of ginger and careful, and maybe will hold a punch. You know what I'm saying? Because like niggas gotta eat. You know.
Yeah. But you don't have to compromise what you're doing to do so all the time. Or at all, really.
Nope.
Yeah, I can't wait to
At
check that
all.
out. I'll definitely be putting the link to that and everything else that we're speaking on, as always, in the show notes. So if I can find it on YouTube as a free audiobook, hopefully it'll be there because that's where I'm trying to listen to it. That'll be in there. If not, it'll be a link to check it out on Audible or to purchase the physical. We almost out of here. I appreciate you being here longer. The vibe is right, so I keep going. But normally, I might just like try to speed through it if I felt like you didn't have the time. So I appreciate you staying on and chopping it up. This is something I call the top three. Give me one do, one don't, and one must have.
Okay, I like that. One, do hold yourself accountable. Don't take yourself too serious. Let's see. You must have really good whiskey.
Really good whiskey.
Yeah, man. As it's like I actually hold to like medicinal value. Like,
what, Jameson? Is that Jameson?
Jameson is a whiskey. But like,
what's yours?
Typically, I'm like a bullet or like Maker's Mark on like the affordable ones. Like on the if you're splurging, you gotta do that Whistle Pig. But generally, I actually learned from get this. Your fans will love this. This pastor out in London that was like, look, man, like I'll be having to preach like 5 sermons on Sunday. Like and they're 40 minutes each, and I'm talking. Like, how you think my voice holds up? Like I do a shot of Makers. Like, either
wowzers.
And so I'm like, why are you guys? Yeah, right before I go to bed, do a shot of Makers, and then right before the 12 o'clock service, I'm like, yo, you up there faded? He's like, no.
Not faded, just a little light buzz.
I'm feeling good though.
Yeah, I'm feeling the Holy Spirit.
I'm like, okay,
that's word.
Like prop, the gift.
Real talk, man. Yeah, dude.
Like, so
whatever's making you feel, whatever's your thing. I ain't touching it. I mean, I'll shoot it with you. You know what I mean? If you ever, but I ain't probably, went on tour one time with Big B, and that cat always had the Jameson, always had the Jaeger on deck on his rider. And I loved hanging out with that brother, but they always doing shot. If they doing a shot, I'm gonna do a shot, the same shot that they're doing. And it's like, ugh. But
man, you can't overdo it, man. Yeah, you can't be overdoing it. Of course, like I hope y'all understand that I'm not like encouraging people like don't be over there ruining your family.
Do not overindulge in anything that
in anything.
Don't even read too much. If you taking 20 hours out of your day to read, you might be missing some time with somebody else.
Yeah,
but I hear what you're saying.
Yeah, there's some humans. There's some actual humans that would love to like have some of your attention. Like, read 20 hours a day.
Real talk.
Yeah.
All right, man. Well, that's about it, man. The last thing that I love to ask is, do you have any words to live by for the people listening?
Man, I'd say, that's good. I say, like, do justice, love mercy, walk humbly. Those are my 3, man. I mean, I stole them from Micah, in the Old Testament, but generally, like, those are my 3: do justice, love mercy, walk humbly.
That's my north. That's like my true north, man.
Word. That's what you live by. That seems like some good words to end it on, man, for sure, dude. I appreciate you taking the time, man. It's always good chopping it up with you. I look forward to hopefully linking with you for a minute next time I'm out that way.
My G. Yeah, man.
Why don't you let the people know, what you got going on, current projects, if you're going to be hitting the road soon, anything you got going, now's the time.
Yeah,
and
man.
If you want people to contact you, how do they get a hold of you, whatnot?
For sure, yeah. So I'm finishing, actually, as of yesterday, I finished recording a new record.
Oh.
That's we're looking at next year for that one.
Right.
I'll be hitting the road in March. All those things are kind of getting worked out right now. And yeah, you could keep up with me on all my socials are just Prop Hip Hop. That's PROP and then hip hop. So it's just Prop Hip Hop. That's all the socials. Go to humblebeats.com for links to like the Spotify, the music, all that. Yeah. And just be on the lookout for the new project. I can't drop none of the names or nothing like that.
You got a name of the project yet that you can say?
Oh, fam, I can't drop none of that.
Boo, but it's cool. I understand.
Boo. Yeah,
I'm looking forward to it though. Yeah, of course, man.
But if it's any consolation, like no one knows I finished.
Yeah, no doubt. I guess I'm dropping this Wednesday then.
Ooh, yeah, no one knows it's done. Yeah.
But other than that, man, I appreciate you, dog. I think we done here. Yeah, I think there's been a lot of great information out there, and I have fun and learn some stuff myself too, dude. So
yeah, man, appreciate you, homie.
Man, same here, dude. I think we're gonna get out of here, man. It's been a good one, my man. Propaganda, Status Escalate podcast, man.
Appreciate y'all.
We out. Peace to the colleagues. Thanks, everybody, for listening to the Status Escalate podcast. Definitely check out my man Propaganda if you haven't already heard or seen what he's about. Also, as always, all his information and things we talked about in the show will be in the show notes at 310music.net, including some music videos and links to download Propaganda's free music. Be sure to visit platformcollection.com and check out all the other shows on the network, like Tumex Hologram Podcast and Hologram Radio with the homie Tumex, Really Though with my man Cookbook of LA Symphony, the Crappy Awesome Podcast with Mr. Arash and Kill C. Ray, my other show Proof of Life Radio with my man Kill C. Ray, and a bunch of other dope podcasts on the Platform Collection Network, platformcollection.com. Big shout out to my sponsor, DeadstockCloset.com. Deadstock Closet specializes in vintage gear and accessories of all styles and brands. Shop at DeadstockCloset.com and receive your purchase ironed, hand-cleaned, and ready to wear. Use the coupon code SEPodcast at checkout and get 10% off your purchase, plus an additional discount for your next one. DeadstockCloset.com. Vintage flyness straight to your doorstep. Big thanks to my sponsor, StatusEscalate.com. Status Escalate is a PR company whose purpose is to create awareness for you as an artist and expand your brand. Status Escalate's been spreading the word on new up-and-coming hip-hop artists for years. Go to the contact section at StatusEscalate.com to discuss a package and rates. Let them know you heard about them through this podcast and you'll get 50% off your first project. If you need press, plays, or views, don't go paying for fake numbers that don't translate to fans. Go check out my man Stat and see what it could do for you. And if it works out, that means a huge discount for you and a little money in my pocket as well, so we both appreciate your support. Other than that, I'm about to be out. Catch you on the next episode in 2 weeks with a new guest, and as always, remember, you can plan for success, but you can't reach it without execution. I'll catch y'all on the flip. Peace to the colleagues.
I put in work and watch my status escalate. Qualified pro in this business of rap. Qualified pro in this business of rap.
Brought to you by PlatformCollection.com.